Have we been muted this whole time and no one has said anything?
We've been muted. Can Stacey hear us?
Well, now it's working. We've been muted this entire time. Long story short, what did you miss during the Medicare Cafe pre-chat? One, we're apparently aging rapidly.
We're aging.
30 things just get sad. Number two, we also are the world's worst millennials and don't know how to unmute ourselves. Yeah. We don't know how to take selfies. We don't know how to use technology.
Common thread of the cafe is we are poor millennials.
We're just... Okay, incompetent. Does that mean you can't hold your bladder, or does that mean you're just bad at your job?
Incontinence.
That's the bladder one.
That's the bladder.
Okay, we're not that. We're
not that. We are old, but not that old yet.
Fair. That's fair. Guys, welcome to the Medicare Cafe. First of all, welcome back after a long weekend, a long holiday weekend. Today, we're talking about what you should be doing during AEP, which honestly, I felt like I haven't really recovered from this previous AEP yet.
I agree, but this, I'm so pumped up for this.
Are you?
The planner in me, I have already had my first, meeting with my assistant, a couple of weeks ago to already, talk about, this AEP.
Wow. And I think it's, again, certifications are out.
Oh,
it's Q3. We are officially at 3 months before October 1st.
Crazy.
And it's going to take every bit of those 3 months to get ready for October 1st. AEP is a year-round thing
Sometimes
now.
I think, September can actually be busier than AEP because I'm just doing everything I can to, all right, how can we make the next few months as efficient as possible?
I know it definitely is on an FMO level. AEP is crazy.
Yeah.
AEP is crazy because we're just pure in reaction mode. What do you need? I'll get it for you right now. I'm wondering, but what we do leading up to AEP is crazy for us.
So when does that, is it August and September? Would you say busiest?
August and September, and then it really it's just a different type of busy.
Yeah.
October through, and I imagine it's like this, or should be like this with an agent. October to December, you don't even know what you had for breakfast that day.
No.
If you even got to have
survival
breakfast.
mode.
You're in survival mode. So you're exhausted, but it's but leading up to AEP, it's such a mental exhaustion.
It is.
Because you're just all the prep. So that's what we're talking about today is how do we make it to where you are not through a prep and a mental exhaustion by October 1st.
Yeah.
So the first thing we want to discuss.
Lots of good topics.
So many good topics. So number one is we're going to talk about it, and everybody's rolling their eyes, and that's fine, but we're right, is number one, certify now. Go ahead and get certified.
Rip that Band-Aid off. Eat that frog.
Eat the frog. Oh, I remember that.
Eat that frog and just certify.
Just do it. We've already, again, at this time I always tell agents, give it a week. Whenever a carrier launches their certifications, give it 1 week because there's bound to be not actual bugs, not the creepy crawly, but the code bugs. There's bound to be some things that go wrong. And at this point,
it's been a week now with all the big carriers.
It's been a week. So go ahead and get those certifications done. They're ready to go. I'll also mention a lot of these carriers have certain deadlines. If you're a Missouri agent, you have a deadline for tomorrow to certify with United Healthcare to do their events basics training. Because if you're not certified in Missouri by tomorrow, you are not eligible to do United Healthcare branded events. So again,
it seems earlier this year to me.
It's earlier every year.
I mean,
we can't escape it. Another reason why I always recommend is to certify early is because every single year there's always some fly-by-night, that sounds sketchy, but there's always some last minute I didn't know that carrier was going to do that because we don't know what the carrier's going to do yet.
Right.
So come September, there's always one carrier that's pop, we're a big deal and you didn't know we existed. Yep. And so if you're trying to
the last thing you want to do is be fumbling around.
Exactly.
Yep.
So there are going to be carriers that are going to be last minute. So make sure you get everything done while you can. And if you've been noticing in the Medicare Cafe agent group, Clayton and Ben, who've been doing a fantastic job of keeping everybody engaged in there, they're hosting right now or doing a contest of make sure you upload your picture of your certification completed. And every carrier that you do that with, is there something? Anyways, every carrier that you do that with, you get entered in to win a prize. You get entered in to win something. So make sure you do that.
And lots of incentive there to just get it off your plate.
There's a walk-in cooler, a backpack cooler in there. It's really cool.
Oh, nice.
The next thing, we were kind of just talking about this, but talk to your local market reps about marketing opportunity. Many of them already have, again, to get these events and booths and kiosks and these 101 events, they have to be planned now.
Yep.
I mean, honestly, if you go to a United Healthcare or an Aetna rep in September and say, hey, I'm really interested in doing booths or doing events this year,
I feel like they're just going to laugh. Yeah.
They're booked.
Yep,
They're
they are.
done. And good luck going on your own to a Walmart or a Walgreens for a booth because those reps have already have them booked for this year.
I was talking to a teammate of mine last week, and on like Thursday, I think it was, and yeah, he had just got off the phone with UHC, and they had planned every week.
Yeah.
They had
I
every
have no
week
doubt.
during AEP, they had something on the books.
Yeah, it's
I'm
crazy.
like, good for you.
And the thing is, again, as you as an independent agent, if you go into those places and try to do that yourself, you have no clout, you have
Right.
no reputation to back that up with. So getting and go with your carrier reps will help you make a really successful AEP. Also, a lot of the marketing dollars that carriers have to give to agents for client acquisition, those are given out on the local level. What that means is that your market rep will actually have some dollars that they're given there to distribute to agents
Gotcha.
but they can't give you the money if they don't know you exist
Right.
and they don't know what your plans are. So meet up with them now to get those extra marketing dollars.
And to build that relationship like the
Mhm.
next one. I feel like through AEP Marketing is how I have built my relationship with our local reps.
Oh, yeah.
I think so.
Well, you guys have a main goal. They have quotas. They have to make a
Right.
certain amount of production for them to get their bonuses and for them to get that
Mhm.
incentive. So they're incentivized. They don't write the business themselves. They're incentivized to make it so that you
Make
are
it better for
successful.
you.
Exactly. The next tip we have, because I have a lot of tips today, so it seems like we're going
I have
quick.
and I have a couple that aren't on here too.
Ooh, bonus tips.
Tell me when to throw them in.
The next tip that I have on here is build your AEP call list. This one gets really overlooked because you cannot cold call
Right.
and cannot cold market Medicare Advantage or PDP plans. But there's a lot that you can be doing now in order to build that list, like launching an ancillary campaign to get new clients.
Ooh, I like it.
Because the rules when it comes to like Medicare Advantage and Part D enrollment is that you can't cold call or prospect for it.
Uh-huh.
If they're a current client of yours, you're just doing customary business.
Exactly.
So if they have a hospital
just
indemnity
checking in.
plan, a dental plan with you, doesn't matter. They're a current client. You can now call them during AEP.
Build that list.
Exactly. You can also, again, collect permissions to contact as well. Make sure if you're doing any type of events or anything that is, again, prospecting-wise,
Mhm.
make sure you go ahead and do collect that permission to contact. Just make sure that they have on there that they want you to call them between October 1st and December 7th. If they mark it on there, just write during this time that it's compliant and you can call them during AEP, even if they're not a current
Perfect.
client. Oh, I touched the wrong button.
Uh-oh.
And
Ooh. Never been here before.
Again, did I mention I'm a bad millennial? Because I am. Let's get back to that slide. Number 3 or 4. Prepare your marketing efforts. And if you have a tip that makes sense in any of these, you shout them, but we can save them too.
Yeah, they're kind of separate from all these.
So the one I talk about preparing your marketing, it used to be like not a year ago, like 3 years ago, we say like any marketing campaign, give yourself 3 weeks. So we would say launch a marketing campaign 3 weeks before October 1st or October 15th, and you'll start having those leads come in through out of AEP. The problem is that a lot of these like telephonic leads or mail order leads are done by zip codes or area codes.
Right.
Call centers are buying those up in bulk.
Yeah.
And because of that, these lead vendors, they sell exclusive leads. So if they sell them to the call centers, they can't then sell them to you. Last year was the first year we saw huge dips in returns and mail orders, not because of a lot of stuff, but a primary reason was because they couldn't place the order to begin with. There wasn't enough data to go around for everybody.
Oh, man.
So also reminder, stamps are going up July 10th.
Stamps.
They're going up 2 cents to 60 cents. But if you're like wanting to do a big mail campaign going into now,
Buy your
stamps.
now. I need to do that. July 10th.
Mhm.
Man, even just thinking of all my thank you notes and all that.
2 cents is a letter adds up.
It is, absolutely.
And then last but not least, get familiar with our AMP pieces and AEP Toolkit. We have a bunch of stuff on there that's like AMP, Agent Marketing Portfolio.
Okay.
It's something offered by senior marketing specialists. In the AEP Toolkit, they offer things like letters to ask for drug lists. They say like
those are so
plan
helpful.
like letter changes, like hey, we
Mhm.
need to meet because your plan's changing, or hey, you can probably stay where you're at unless there's been any changes. We have things like that.
Yeah.
So tons of like letters and postcards offered there. So just make sure you get to know them. I want to hear I want to hear
One of my tips?
Carrie tip. That was hard.
One of my, and I'm doing this right now. Before my AEP, this is when I like do my like beginning of the year cleanup. Like even as far as like clean my office. Like I feel like I have to mentally prepare the best I can. And so that means like cleaning up all those old to-dos that haven't been done, whether that's personal or business related. That's my biggest thing is I'm cleaning up. I mean, it could be files or extra, you know, all those things that get pushed off on the back burner. I make sure all of them are completely done before I start the AEP madness. And then I think the other biggest thing that I do, and what I just had a couple weeks ago, I had a meeting with my assistant, and we talked about what worked last AEP, what didn't, what do we need to do better this year. So we already kind of have a game plan going into this year of what really worked well last year for us, because that was my first year with an assistant.
Right.
And it was just, we had a conversation like that after last year. But
it's kind of like reviewing, I call it reviewing your game footage.
Yes.
Like really saying, like, I should have done this different here. I could have done more there. I could have squeezed a couple hours. I really needed to rest here.
Yep.
So review that game footage, both right after and then like going into your next game, you go back and see what you could have done differently.
Exactly. It's super helpful, and she's already working on little projects.
I love that. That's so cool.
Yep.
I need an assistant. I don't I don't. I have a husband, and I thought that was kind of the same thing. It's not. He's very inefficient.
It's not?
His reviews have been very poor, and he's doing very little to correct it.
Does he know you refer to him as that?
Oh, he knows. He knows his place. He knows. The next tip we have is ready your systems for compliance. As we know, compliance is going to smack us in the face effective October 1st. Partially of that is call recording. Make sure you're utilizing Medicare Center. But if you're not utilizing Medicare Center, or even if you are, there's so many things this year that need to be stored for that 10 years that we didn't have to have last year. So you lead cards. Every single call communication, making sure that you're storing, again, you have your scope of appointments, things like that. But a lot of the CRM that you're currently using is going to have a really difficult time holding up with all that storage. So make sure you may need to invest in a third-party storage, looking at like an Amazon storage, Google storage, Apple storage, things like that. But it has to be two-way authenticated, which basically means that it has to be password protected. And one other way, like a security question, the Face ID, things like that.
So you've been dangling that fruit about the CRM capabilities of Med Center.
Yes.
Do we have like?
We're
not yet ready to hear more.
Listen, I saw the flyers. They have it like what Medicare Center is getting ready to launch. So we are literally within days of the launch happening. It is happening. Incoming and outgoing calls recorded and stored within Medicare Center. Now, their Medicare Center does have Medicare app. It has Medicare Link, and it has the CRM. This will be the Medicare Center's CRM. We'll have full call recording capability.
So not the app or the link.
Right. Well, the app and the link will have their own, but like Medicare app, which is through Connecture, will not give you access to the call recording unless you ask for it. It will record the call, but you can't download it and keep it yourself. Medicare Center is the only one that I've seen so far which will have the full call recording storage, making it accessible to the agent.
Have we talked about Zoom yet? How to record from Zoom?
Yeah, so again, if you use Zoom or Ring Central, Skype, FaceTime, just making sure that you do FaceTime. You can just do like a screen recording, and it records audio and everything.
But then that would save to your phone.
That does save to your phone.
So if you record from Zoom, does it save into like your Zoom account or your
Ring Central
account?
Yeah, it depends on what kind of bundle or like what package you have. If you have the free one, it's not going to save. No, it's not. But if you're using a paid account, which again, Medicare Center will have video calling capability as well. So they do have the video call too.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. So and it's going. So they do have that capability, or will have that capability, as well as a mobile app. I'm probably telling secrets I shouldn't be, but we will have a mobile app.
I asked.
As
You
well.
can blame it on me.
Perfect. I always do. When you're not in the room, like, well, that was Carrie.
Perfect.
So yeah, a lot of really, really cool things to come with that. But also keep in mind, it's not just the call recording. Make sure that all of your marketing pieces are submitted to both United Healthcare. If you have a United Healthcare Medicare contract. They want to see it all. And also make sure that if they mention anything about Part C or D or any benefits of C or D, that it's submitted to CMS for approval. You as an agent, you do not have direct access to CMS. Only large organizations like Senior Marketing Specialist does. So if you need your content submitted to CMS, call us. We will submit it on your behalf.
We got a couple comments here. Do you know when they will be launching the recording in MedCenter?
And MedCenter, literally, so I have the flyers on hand that I snuggly got. I'm so sneaky. I have the flyers, and so they for sure will have them by October 15th, for sure. Really hoping that we see that within the next month, to where that's actually been updated on your Medicare Center. But for sure by October 15th. Yes.
And Brian said, whoa, pump the brakes. Did you say MedCenter can record calls and videos?
Yes,
that
sir.
Is what she
It'll
said.
be able to do both.
And Mary, will Medicare Center roll out new features in August or September so that we can figure out how to use it prior to
Mary,
October?
I would love so much for that to be true.
We can only hope.
We can only hope. I'm going to be saying when I'm being told and then what I know to be true. What I know to be true is that it will sure be done by October 15th. Mm-hmm. What I'm being told is that it will be rolled out ahead of time for us to have, for us to be able to test out some things and look at some stuff and play around with it. Now, I have personally used and demoed the app version of it, and it's very seamless. It is very intuitive. It's very easy. You can expect a ton of training done by our team to make sure you are ready to go for call recording and video recording using Medicare Center.
So does that mean we will schedule our meetings for Medicare Center rather than Zoom or Microsoft Teams?
If you're doing like a face-to-face, I always say a virtual appointment, then yes, you'll be able to schedule those through Medicare Center.
And now, coming from the receiving end, because obviously our clients aren't going to have MedCenter downloaded, do you know if it is they just type in like they can just use a URL, or will they have to download the app?
You know, I don't know. I can't imagine there'll be an app.
Download.
They won't be a download.
Okay.
It'll basically be like, it'll either text them or email them a link.
Okay.
But
I like
see.
that.
Yeah.
I don't like when it prompts you to download. I think that like causes people to get stressed out.
Does anybody remember Join.me?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, Join.me was like the first one I ever used. And it was it was like the coolest thing back in the day when that first came out. But then it made them download.
Look at your fancy nails. Look at these 4th of July nails.
Noticing. Okay,
I love them.
Nobody asked, but I don't have a hobby, so I've made painting nails my hobby. I got kicked out of my art class when I was in junior high, and my aunt was the teacher. If that tells you what you need to know about my art skills.
They look beautiful.
Thank you. So again, last thing, making sure that your systems are ready for compliance. Check your lead systems. Make sure your lead vendors are being compliant. There are new rules for lead vendors. A lot of them aren't following it. Make sure your lead vendors are following the October 8th updates. That's a lot. That's a lot. That in itself, getting ready for compliance, that's going to take a huge portion.
Mentally prepare as well. That's what I'm doing.
We can do it, guys.
And even do it before AEP. That's what I feel like make AEP even better. Don't start doing it October 15th. That way you can get used to it and it just becomes habit by then.
I don't know if you listened, but I just did a horrible Arnold Schwarzenegger impersonation.
I really wasn't
do it
really
now.
listening.
Anyway, so check your carriers. That's my next tip to make sure you're ready for AEP. Do you even know who your upline is? If you don't know who your upline is, find out, because your upline needs to be you need to make sure your upline is the one who's telling you all the information about. Yeah. Again, we've seen sneak peeks for several different carriers. Anthem, Cigna, Aetna, or DSNP have already said hey, this is what our AEP plan's gonna look like. Mm-hmm. Call your upline. Make sure you know what those are gonna look like. Expansion areas, things like that. So make sure your upline's working for you. That's what they receive an override for.
I have a question for you on the next one.
Ooh, the next
one
is,
licenses, especially non-residents, up to date? So over the last year, I feel like I'm now licensed in 10 states, and I got 8 of them probably from this year. What is the easiest way to do like with United Healthcare or Aetna? What's the easiest way to make sure that
they have
all of those updates?
Yeah.
Get once you do AHIP and this if I certify for MAPDs in Missouri.
So luckily, when it comes to certifications, I'll just back it up like this. Carriers utilize a word called, or a phrase called, ready to sell.
Yep.
Ready to sell is not just certifications. It's certifications, license, and appointments.
Okay.
3 different things that kind of get smushed under this one ready to sell status. So when it comes to your certifications are not, it used to be this way. The only carrier that did it was Aetna. They've changed their ways. Thank you, Aetna. But it used to be that you had to certify for every state that you were in.
Okay.
And it basically what that meant was that you had to do a local thing, which used to have to be you had to be face-to-face. That's not the case anymore. Obviously, they've caught up with the times. People aren't necessarily able to go to Indiana for a face-to-face sale anymore. So now, for the majority of the carriers, certifications minus like Essence, which is a regional one. So you got to do an Essence face-to-face. But for the most part, what carriers will say is if you do your certifications and do your AHIP, you can sell wherever. The ready to sell is now based on licensing and appointments. So to answer your question, to make sure that you are appointed in the state, number one, you can go to the carrier's websites. And the carrier's websites are really good about telling you that you're licensed in these states, yes or no, but are you appointed in those states? Now, most carriers, when it comes to Medicare Advantage plans, have actually transitioned to what's called just-in-time appointments. Meaning that they will not appoint you until you submit a piece of business.
Yeah.
But not every carrier is like that.
Omaha's like that.
Mutual of Omaha's like that. Aetna just turned it that way.
Oh.
United Healthcare is not.
Yeah,
if you submit a piece of business, even if you're licensed in that state, but you're not appointed in that, you do not receive commissions, and it's seen as a violation.
Okay.
So go to the carrier's websites or call your uplines. Your upline should be doing this for you. Call your upline and say, can you confirm that I am ready to sell in these carriers with these states? And they will be able to tell you yes or no. Use your uplines.
So when I certify, I don't need to worry about doing it in all of those 10 states.
As long as you are licensed in those states and appointed in those states, then you're okay.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah. So again, moving on with the carriers, make sure your license is ready to go. Do you know how to navigate their carrier sites? If you, because again, carriers won't reach out to you to tell you like, hey, this piece of business is pending for this reason. They expect you to utilize the site. So make sure you know how to check your commissions and check their application status in those. And last but not least, make sure you have the right carriers. Do you have the right hospital indemnity, the cancer insurance? Do you have if you don't know what the landscape is going to look like,
especially
October
in non-resident
1st,
states,
I'm
thinking of
states.
all the carriers I'm going to have to additionally certify that don't have plans here that I know are over in Kansas.
For sure. And not even just like in state to state, county to county can look so different. So if you're going to be doing any type of expansion, get with your upline. I can't say it enough.
I need to back up here.
Get with your upline and do what we call a portfolio review to make sure that you are ready to be competitive in the areas you're going to be selling in.
We got lots of conversations going here. Samantha, always a fun conversation with an agent when they write with UHC and are not appointed.
It's so frustrating because you can't be licensed there. You may have a license and paid for it and done everything correctly, but if you didn't get appointed, it's a violation. It's so frustrating.
Belinda, when licensing in multiple states, how many carriers should you be appointed with? Also, should you include Medigap plans?
Belinda, the best thing to do would be to call our outreach team because it's going to be different depending on whatever area you're going to be in.
Right.
Just a 1,000-foot overview. You're doing it, so I'd love to hear your opinion.
So typically what I do is before, I just recently had some new clients that were in Shawnee, Kansas, an area that I don't have any clients yet. So before I met with them, I got on MedCenter and I was like, okay, what plans? I just did a little plan research and figured out, okay, these are what I thought were the top 3 options, and those are the ones that I made sure all my licenses were good to go with. Now that's just how I did it, so that at least I'm ready to go with 3, and then if there's, obviously I could present more. But if there was something that they wanted to go with outside of those 3, then I would have to tell them, hey, well, I got to make sure my license is good.
Right. Yeah.
And certs are
good. I think that's you have to know what are your goals in that state. If you want to write one here or there, then do it cater to what they need.
Right.
Don't license with 5 carriers if you're only going to write one of them.
Yeah.
But if you are wanting to go there and expand on a major way, talk to our outreach team and say this is the area I'm going to sell in. They'll make sure you get set with a carrier that's friendly, non-face to face, that allows you again, that doesn't, there's so many people that I want to go sell in Florida. do you know how expensive it is to sell, to get licensed there, and then appointed there? So we'll make sure we set you up in areas that are like make sense based on the amount of business you want to do. I do recommend having both supplement and advantage options, because the two of them, the things that used to differentiate what's a good supplement client versus what's a good advantage client, the lines are so blurred now that there really isn't a bucket you can put clients in. So you never know, what they're going to want to go after.
Be as prepared as you can. And and I've had some clients where we have had to, they really wanted Mutual of Omaha, and I was not expecting them to want to pay $70-some for that. And so I was like, you know what? We can do this, but you're going to have to unfortunately wait for me to transfer my license.
Mary says, sounds like you should get licensed prior to doing certification, so it's easier to get appointed. Again, Mary, it doesn't really matter at what point you do that licensing, just making sure that you were licensed in that state and appointed in that state, making sure you know if it's a just-in-time appointment or a pre-appointment state. Pennsylvania will always be pre-appointment, just so you know, but making sure that you know those before October 1st. And then she says UHC charges for getting appointments in some states. Yeah, they do, and they're pretty expensive. Yeah. Is there a spreadsheet that shows this, or do other companies do this as well? It depends. Every carrier will do it differently in every state. So your United Healthcare won't even do it in every state, but they do it in some, vice versa with others. So just making sure that we have a spreadsheet, Senior Marketing Specialist does. Our team can help you kind of navigate the world of licensing fees versus appointment fees. It would be ridiculous for you to do that for yourself. Work with your upline. Senior Marketing Specialist does help our agents with this.
Someone asked, please explain who are you referring to when you say upline, I think maybe. I call SMS that. Are you talking about company reps?
Yeah, great question. So I say your upline, or make sure you work with your upline. It's who do you hold that contract through. If you work with Senior Marketing Specialist with that carrier, Senior Marketing Specialist is your upline. If you work with a smaller organization, or if you're a part of an agency, that agency or that organization is your upline. It's who is between you and the carrier. That is your upline. We spent a lot of time on that one, but it's important. Yeah. All of these have been really important.
Hold on, funny comment from Brian. Surprised she has all her fingers after the 4th.
Same, girl. Same. Okay, at the end of this, not right now, but at the end of this, allow me to tell you the story about the time that I got attacked by fireworks.
Oh, no.
I was singled out by some fireworks, and my shorts caught on fire. At the end, we'll talk about it.
Can't wait.
Now I have a horrible phobia of fireworks.
I think this is your last slide.
This is, and then I want to hear more from you. But the last but not least, it kind of encompasses everything, is just your bandwidth. And by that, I mean check your bandwidth. I know so many agents that will literally, every single year we hear from agents who quite literally work themselves into the hospital because they just overwhelm themselves. And it is. So checking on your health and things like that. But more specifically, right now, do you need to hire staff for AEP? Because it's going to take 3 months to get them up, ready to go and
start training them now.
Exactly.
Yes.
Medicare Center, are you aware of how that works and how it can make your life easier? Did you know you can send clients their own drug list, and they can update their own drug list so you don't have to do that? So make sure you're familiar with that. What can be done via videos, ANOC meetings, Medicare 101s? Get your video creation done now so that it's easy to post then. Is your CRM ready to go? Is it cleaned up? Kind of like what you were talking about earlier, just cleaning up all your to-do lists. How are you staying healthy? If your plan is like mine, where it's just like, I'm just going to veg out and just like eat everything I can when I can, not the best plan. Truly, like, I know it's silly, but like, have a health plan going into Q4. Because it's one thing, like, it's the biggest time of year. There's so many family holidays.
So many.
COVID-19 is rearing its head again. I know we don't want to talk about it, but it's a thing. We have to talk about it.
It's not going away.
And then, last but not least, again, like, if you're out of commission, you will work on commissions. If you're out of commission, that wasn't even on purpose.
That wasn't on purpose.
If you are not able to sell a policy, you don't make money.
Right.
So you are your biggest asset. Make sure you're taking care of yourself.
Make your T65 list also. So we have, speaking of that, you'll get paid on those T65s. Me and my assistant, we keep a separate spreadsheet of, all right, what are the T65s and who are the AEP call lists?
Right. I just read Brian's comment. It was
what was it?
Don't read it out loud.
Oh, okay.
But very good point. I was distracted. I was listening. Very great point.
Very great one. Speaking of videos, the other thing that I am doing right now is I am creating all of my digital content. I make videos, and I am not I hope to film them before them also, but not post them, obviously, until it's compliant.
Keep it in a vault.
But draft all of them out. And then with like Facebook, you can even schedule them out. So you don't have to worry about having that social media presence and figuring out.
I just whispered, "Oh yes," very creepily.
I didn't even hear it. I think
that's how creepy it was.
But prepare social media as well. That's something that I have been working on this week.
Such a good point. Just like anything that you can get done, get done. And this was actually
personal and professional.
Everything, which kind of leads into that last point, which is like your cash flow. Make sure like you understand you budget out AEP, because you don't actually get to write business, or you don't get paid on AEP business until after the first of the year. So like VBEs and HRAs, which are those extra things that like if your client takes a survey at the end of the presentation, you get paid on those immediately. So make sure you do those. But also, like, Christmas is during that time. Thanksgiving is during that time. You're going to be ordering leads. You're going to be spending a ton of money, both on your business and not on your business in Q4, and you have a shortage of cash flow. So be prepared and, like, budget. Be ready to,
hopefully, if you are commission-based, you are used to budgeting. And I know this is the financial planner in me.
Ooh, get it,
but,
girl.
I mean, in my opinion, you can't just budget fourth quarter.
No.
You got to budget the rest of the year so fourth quarter doesn't hit you.
I definitely do that. I don't know.
We'll talk. Okay. We could have a budgeting podcast.
You know what? Like, they go back like in high school. I know how the Paratic algorithm works, but taxes, I don't know her. The Paratic theorem. X equals the opposite of B plus or minus the square root of C squared minus 4AC all over 2A. Taxes?
Paratic? That's not the quadratic?
Quadratic! I don't have to know her name to be able to recite it.
I was like, wait a minute. The quadratic
theorem?
Anyways, I think it's the quadratic.
That was the Medicare Cafe. Carrie, I know you had a couple extra things you wanted to talk about. Any other final points that you wanted to give from like your perspective doing it?
I think I chimed in a lot of them. Brian says she's drunk. Too much 4th of July for Olivia.
Cheers.
I think really one of the things, and I feel like I've talked about my assistant a lot today, but use your people. I don't know how many of you have admins or teammates, team members, and check that big cup, Carrie.
I am. Time out. I gotta.
So my.
X equals the opposite of B.
She's checking on the quadratic formula. It's quadratic.
That sounds right.
It's a quadratic.
Yeah.
Not. I don't even know what P word you said.
Paratic.
The
Paratic theorem.
There's a song that I remember. It was Pop Goes the Weasel.
A square minus square root C square minus 4AC
all over 2A. I remembered the last bit of it, and I remember the name.
Also, can't change a tire either.
That's why we need each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yay!
Can you change a tire?
No, my husband can do all that.
There you go.
Yeah. I think I got all my.
Got it.
All my points out.
Well, thank you guys so much for hanging out with us today. Again, this is what you get for a post-holiday Medicare Cafe. I'm really excited. Again, thank you guys so much. Just want to say, make sure, I think this is a theme you can see here, make sure you are utilizing every resource you have available, because it can get chaotic. If you're not prepped for that, then you're going to have a bad time. So utilize your office staff. Utilize your upline. Make sure that you're making really good connections out there in the field. Utilize other agents. Find out what other people are doing.
And get your certs done now.
Just do it now.
Do it.
Any other questions, comments, concerns, threats, and or promises? They don't have to be math related.
Yeah.
Medicare sales.
When do you learn the quadratic formula? Like middle school? Something like that.
It has to be way, way later than middle school. Maybe you
I'm
learn
thinking
it in
like
middle school.
I'm thinking 7th grade.
Maybe
8th grade.
You can't expect children to know that. Never mind the fact we sing "It's a Pop Goes the Weasel."
I know, but I think that's I remember being in Gentry Middle School. I feel like.
No.
Anyways.
Maybe, but like I also went to North Shelby, and so like we're just a little farther behind than you guys. I also know all 66, I think, propositional phrases. So that I did learn in 6th grade.
Can't say those.
Nah.
No. All six. There's 66 of them.
I may have made that number up, but there's a lot.
There's a lot, and Olivia knows them.
All of them. Also by a fun song. All right, guys, we will see you next Tuesday, 10 a.m. sharp, to talk about some more awesome things going on. Again, I did get your guys' requests to talk about Part D savings programs and some other things. We are doing a lot more research on that. Wanting to make sure we bring you new and up-to-date information. So thank you. If you have any more recommendations or suggestions, you can text us or go to our Facebook page or group.
We love having that input.
We'd love to hear from you guys. If you want to hear more parabolum theorems. Sounds like I'm trying to say serum with a lisp.
Oh my gosh.
We'll see you next time, guys.
Favorite thing you've ever said.
So until next time, have fun.
Make money.
And give impeccable service.